Hey, welcome. But I'm all big now. Welcome, my crypto comics compatriots. We're back with another edition of the Crypto Comics Couch podcast, where we break down the comic book landscape and let you into our world. But today, we're kind of veering away a little bit from the typical comics and getting more into Polygon. So, in order to do that, we have Joe over here. As you guys know, Joe, our fearless leader over there.
Or seems to be Beardy McBossman Esquire.
Oh, I like the Esquire. Thank you.
I'll with the kids.
I'll go with that, Esquire.
So, before we get into the show,
awesome,
if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please put them in that in the chat, and we'll get to them as quickly as we can. And let's get going.
Well, just in case anybody doesn't know, let's give Joe an opportunity to introduce himself, other than the boss, Beardy McBossman.
Oh, to introduce myself, I'm the CEO of Apogee Invent, the software development company behind Crypto Comics. And I'm also the president of Crypto Comics. Apogee Invent's the primary investor and founder and co-founder of Crypto Comics. So, yeah, I'm the one kind of I work behind the scenes a lot, for sure. Yeah, do some software development and definitely work with the development team. We love to write software, love to build cool things. That's what we do.
Huge NASCAR fan.
NASCAR fan. I love hockey, football. NASCAR, okay. I don't watch a lot of NASCAR.
This stream is going to turn into just us talking about AFC East by the end of it.
Yeah, it will if you're not careful about this, because
All right, so excuse me. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Polygon a little bit more tonight than we normally do. We'll still be talking about comics, I think, a bit, especially when it comes to us talking about multi-network and the future that we see for crypto comics in that, and how that benefits collectors, namely how it's very similar in fashion to, multiple distributors handling things for a comic book shop and stuff like that. So I think we'll still tie in a little bit of stuff, just not quite as much as Matt was saying. Let me check on chat real quick here. Rose Kirby comes in from over in the UK, says, hey, hello, good morning from the UK.
Hey, Rose.
How you doing? Also to everybody in the chat. And
thank you for being awesome.
Look at you go, Joe. Hat Rose. Nobody's Illusion comes in over on Twitch saying, hello, how's everyone doing this fine Monday? I'm eager to learn more about crypto. Nobody's Illusion, do you have that hello, how is everyone doing this fine Monday on a macro?
It is a fine Monday.
Stream. We got King Daniel Taylor over on Facebook saying, what's up, guys? What's up?
Hey!
What's up?
Nobody's Illusion says, OMG, it's Joe.
All right, so Ethereum has kind of proven itself to be pretty much, the best home for smart contracts. Some of these mitigating factors are just ease of use and market saturation. But with that, there was those gas prices that just kind of started skyrocketing out of control. I mean, I've seen somebody on another network spend almost $200 worth on a $70 product. Now, Polygon is kind of came into prominence when it became kind of best known as the most effective way of scaling the Ethereum network. Is there anything you can speak to that, Joe?
Yeah, I suppose I can. And feel free to stop me. I'm just kidding. No,
Hey,
yeah.
Joe, where's your
So
branding? Where's your branding at, Joe?
we talked about this already. My branding is everywhere.
We'll have to do an office tour one of these days.
Yeah, we should. That would be cool.
Yeah, it looks like we ran around with the Crypto Comics gun sticker. Pop, 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 pop. Sticker gun sticker, whatever. Strike that, reverse it. Yeah, I mean, this is the same problem that we in crypto comics were really faced with. And if those who have been around with us, they know that we founded a network called Stacksnet and all of that, and we did that because of this problem. Although there's great liabilities and all kinds of things in founding that kind of network, so we use that to foundationalize everything, and we still have that in the side wings, but. We fortunately discovered that Polygon was doing the same thing we were trying to accomplish, but they had the lawyers and they had the huge bankroll and all of that, and the government lobbying and all of these things, especially in India where they initially founded in Mumbai, where it came out of. It's not out of the United States, and not founded out of the United States. Polygon. Now Ethereum. Yeah, I'll try not to jump around too much, but Ethereum has been around longer. Polygon was founded in just 2017 as the Matic network, and then it was only in like 2021, just a couple of years ago, they rebranded to Polygon. At that point in time, it was still even a shaky concept to use them as a foundation, and we at Crypto Comics decided that we were going to build an Ethereum, an EVM, Ethereum virtual machine contract and system, so that we would be compatible with all of these EVM networks. And then we would build out our software to be multi-network anyway, so that we could run on Ethereum and Polygon and all of these. And of course, I mentioned Stacksnet, our network originally. Once we found Polygon, we're compatible with that. So we were like, this is perfect. We can switch to that. We don't want to sell money. That's not what our game is here at Crypto Comics. We want to sell comics. We only wanted to have Stacksnet just so that we could serve the community, because as these guys said, Ethereum has some real limitations, and they've been working to soften those blows a bit. It's not as bad as it has been, and there's an Ethereum Foundation and all of that that's working to improve things. But there are some real technical limitations there in how it works and stuff like that. And then another system, called the Matic network, it came along, and it was primarily set up as a system called a plasma chain and a set of plasma chains. We won't get into the technicalities too much, but those are like they're like side chains to the Ethereum main chain network. Basically, everything they do is entirely dependent on the Ethereum main chain, and there's not necessarily guarantees in them. Anyways, they changed up their architecture, and they're doing a bunch of things called like ZK rollups. That's like zero knowledge and stuff like that. A bunch of security stuff to really speed up that process, so they can use the Ethereum blockchain as an ultimate ledger, but they have their own ledger that then can bundle transactions together, so they can have tons and tons and tons of transactions that are all in one big block, and then just that gets checked. Hashes of that for proof get checked into the Ethereum network. Anyways, I know that's a lot of details. So I
was just gonna say that the main Ethereum network, they tend to do about 12 to 25 transactions per second, if I'm not mistaken. But these side chains are able to do thousands of transactions per second, which helps keep that gas prices low, which means, as the comic reader, I go to buy a comic, I'm not paying $200 on a $5 comic.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we did with Stacksnet. I mean, we changed all the ratios and we made some updates to the software and things like that so that we're able to get all of those commits really quick and all of that. The thing is when Polygon rebranded to Polygon from the Matic network, they basically made a very similar step towards the direction of what we were building Stuxnet as. They stepped away from just being a plasma chain to being a full chain and all of that. And that's when it really started working, if that makes sense. But that's also when it started becoming viable for us. We weren't, I mean, it wasn't even a viable option until then in a lot of ways, but it started not just becoming viable for us, it started becoming viable for so many businesses like Facebook, Reddit. Donald Trump launched his NFTs on the Polygon network. It became very legitimate and very scrutinized. And the general consensus is that this is going to be legal, and this is and this shouldn't be even if it is under the jurisdiction of the SEC or whatnot, or in part under that jurisdiction, then it should be allowed. It should be
I
condoned
thought the
and all of that.
legislation was trying to fight for it to be under the CSEC. Is it CSEC or CSET? I can't remember.
Yeah, you could correct me on that one. I don't know. I don't know all of the details, but I know that Gary Gensler of the SEC, is I guess the chairman of the SEC, just came out with, and I don't know how much we want to get into this, but he really undercut what, in my opinion, the mission of the SEC and that's to protect the investors. So they, Coinbase and all these companies, they have been working at full tilt, trying to make sure they're 100% in compliance. Now, Binance, not so much. They're more of a global company. Coinbase is really being a shining star in being compatible with our government here. And they really, really, they crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and did everything. And the SEC just, immediately after they went after Binance, they went after Coinbase. Now, one thing to understand is these lawsuits, they're not the finalization. They're not the final say. All they really are is, instead of the SEC providing guidance, they're just like, why don't you guys go ahead and make a mistake and we'll fine you, type of thing. Instead of providing guidance. The problem with that is their job is to protect the investor. By allowing the SEC, they implicitly underwrote Matic and all of these coins when they IPO'd, initial public offering, when they allowed Coinbase to go public. They reviewed all of this and they gave it the green light. In fact, there's a lot of people that think it's a political hit, or whatnot, and who knows, but they gave it the green light. So what, in my opinion, what they did is they allowed all of us little, even our company, but Crypto Comics, who decided to go with this, but anybody who invested in Matic and all of that, they allowed all of those investors to walk out on a plank, and then they just sawed off the end of it, without thought. So I mean, it's just quite contrary to their job, their absolute 100% imperative to protect the investors, because they're like, oh yeah, let's just let them walk out onto that and see what happens there. Anyways, I who really knows what's going on there, and who really knows what will end up finalization. I have a feeling that the SEC's actions here are not going to be substantiated in court. I think that they're probably not going to get things 100% their way. I think what Robinhood immediately dropped several of these tokens that were named in the Binance and Coinbase suits. Coinbase, who has done everything right, they did not. They said, we are not going to do that. They lawyered up. They feel they can win it. And frankly, they should, in my opinion, from what little knowledge I have, which is probably more than the average bear, but with what little knowledge I have in this industry, they probably will win it. And I don't know why we have this sort of a hit in this way. I feel like that probably Binance needed some action from the SEC, but everything else just made my jaw hit the ground because it was so contrary to what to what their actual, to the mission of the agency.
I love how you're like, oh, you know what little knowledge I have. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this guy literally like writes some of the most complex smart contracts you will ever see in your life, and he's like, you know what little knowledge I have. Come on now.
Well,
Thank you, man.
what about additional networks? I mean, we've been talking about doing that with crypto comics, and that's kind
Right.
of a big focal point now is looking at things and saying, okay, well, we want to make sure that all of our eggs and all the time and everything that's been invested in everything, especially on behalf of creators and fans and stuff like that, that everything's not just sitting in one basket. So that's another topic for us to talk about is multiple networks and how that really adds a benefit for people.
Hmm.
Um, we feel adds a benefit.
Absolutely. So here's I'll comment. I'll try not to dominate too much, but additional networks. First off, Stuxnet that we built and put together. Um, we'd like to see all of this happen. We didn't want to be the first ones who had to deal with this,
Hmm.
even though our customer base, our market base, to enjoy low transaction costs. Because that's not what we're trying. So we cut Stuxnet transactions almost down to nothing. But all of this could open that up. But my main point in bringing Stuxnet up is when we develop this in our developer sandbox, our actual test website where we're building the website before we take things live, we have we have 4 networks going simultaneously, or at least did before we switched everything over. Probably still is. Have to look. Ethereum, and we have even our main website right now has Ethereum and Ethereum support and all of that. We just have it turned off for normal users, and we even have a couple of test books in there on the Ethereum mainnet. So we built it fully compatible with Ethereum in the first place. Um, we can do some testing and flip some switches, and we should be able to turn that on within a few days if and when we decide to do so on the main net. So that's with Ethereum. And then because we built it EVM compatible, any of these tokens or any of these networks that are found to be EVM compatible, which is by far the majority of them, there are some that are not, but most of them are, then we can immediately adopt those. Now, ones that aren't, there's other similar ones like Cardano, which ADA, which uses a different sort of a smart contract system. We're using Solidity and whatnot and compiling down to EVM smart contracts. And there's other systems that have their own. And there's systems that don't have any, like Bitcoin, that are using side chains like a system called Stacks, which unfortunately has a naming conflict with Stuxnet that we were doing. We probably have to rebrand that if and when we do go live with it because of that, which is, but anyway, all of that
Maybe,
aside,
maybe
all
not.
of that aside is now we're in the market for opening on more chains where we were
Yeah.
pretty dang committed to Polygon because you know what? Everybody else who was dang smart was getting committed to Polygon. You look around, Reddit, Facebook, is all of these other companies who do have the lawyers and who do have all of these things and or have spent way more on it than we have. They've done their homework and not that we don't believe in doing our own due diligence, but we do want to build on the
I
most
hope.
solid foundation. So we feel like this is a rug that was kind of tugged out, or at least I do, that was tugged out from under the industry with zero warning, really, this particular rug. So
Hmm.
now that being said, like I said before, honestly, in the long run, Matic is probably here to stay and it'll probably get adopted anyways. And the actual Polygon team, um, it's their response in short is basically that Matic is necessary to the Polygon network. It's necessary for it to work. That they were not founded in the United States. Never. They've always been global, et cetera, et cetera. So they shouldn't just be under the jurisdiction of a United States, um, 3-letter organization. and
for a letter.
that they were going to
Type letter.
plod forward because they were doing everything that they believed they were doing everything cleanly, you know, and that it should be adopted and all of that. So, you know, I think that was a big, you know, capital F, capital U. As far as I can tell from the Polygon organization, they're going to plow forward anyways. And you know, lots of these companies that can lawyer up are doing so, and we'll see. You know, hopefully, I mean, I will say this: the main claim from the SEC, or the main headline from Gary Gensler was that he says this that cryptocurrency is a frenzy is a rife with hucksters, fraudsters, and scam artists. And while that may be true, I would argue that all money has always been
Oh,
rife with
absolutely.
that. And it's also completely full of legitimate businesses such as crypto comics, and I believe crypto comics is an absolute shining star of doing it right, and for doing it for the people as a win-win-win. I mean, crypto comics company looks to win. We want to win. We want this to be successful. We want the person who buys the comic to win. We want them to have something of value, something even more than they can get in a physical copy, moving pages, audio, all of those things, and the ability to resell it on an aftermarket. You know, we want the creator to win with residual royalties on resells, with 80% of the initial sell straight to the creator. You know, other companies don't do that sort of thing. That's what we're doing, because we're trying to make a very real win-win-win here. So
Yeah, and I think that's coming through pretty well. I don't know, man. No matter who's involved with it, I think Matic and Polygon are kind of here to stay. I don't think the government's really going to be able to do a whole lot with it once they start knuckling down. I mean, part of me also sees that, you know, I think everybody knows that we're nearing a recession again. I mean, it's coming up quick, as most people are saying. You know what I mean?
Not financial advice. Just to
Yeah,
let you guys know.
not financial advice, but you know, it's one of those things. When that happens, people start getting nervous. They start getting scared. So, I mean, what do? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I have good feelings. I think the good guys will come out on top on this. Hopefully, it doesn't scare too many people away from crypto. You know what I mean? 'Cause I
So,
think the technology as a whole, it's just badass. So
it would be sad. Yep.
just, you know, I watch a lot of like kind of those futuristic sci-fi movies and stuff like that.
who you do? No.
What do you think actually is it going to take to make you know, a cryptocurrency the main currency for the world? What needs to happen with blockchain technology in the future?
You know, that's a
Books.
really good question. I have some wild ideas.
I want to hear. I want the wild ideas. That's what I'm after.
So, if it could ever be accomplished, and I don't exactly know how it would, but if you could divorce the currency from a main ledger and have reliability in it, so like effectively, like if a wallet could or if the coin itself or whatever that it happened to be able to be verifiable, zero knowledge in all of this, and happen to be passable. It would be kind of like a double-layered wrap type thing, but then it wouldn't actually require a blockchain, and it wouldn't require it, so it couldn't be taken over and things like that. How would that be done? I don't know exactly, but basically, I'm saying is once money could be divorced of the network and be fully cryptographic and provable. How could that be done? Like I said, I have some wild ideas that probably wouldn't work, but you know, but they haven't been tested either. Um, but I think ultimately you'd want to divorce it from needing a real time chain of any sort, or a public ledger, and I think it's remotely possible that it could be done. I guess.
How fast do you think Doge will have that?
I think Doge is based on Bitcoin, and it's probably much further behind than Polygon that having that.
All right. Well, sorry, folks.
Oh, boy.
We're pushing to get Doge on Crypto Comics, guys. We are. I promise you.
You know, Doge doesn't have smart contracts. I'd be all for it.
I'm gonna figure something out.
EVM compatible Doge.
Someday we're gonna figure something out, and I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
we could take Doge, yeah.
You
They
know,
had
when I
another
first
dog one that everybody was telling me about. What was that one?
Shiba,
That
Sheet,
it was
Yeah.
it was like it's Doge but with smart contracts, so it was really just Ethereum.
Yeah, Shiba Inu. I remember that. I still like
Yeah.
that coin. That's a good coin.
Yeah. Well, and it probably is good, but
Or
eye of
let's
the
see, what else
beholder.
do we look at? We looked at Ripple. I tried to push everybody on Ripple for a minute, and then
It's not a smart
Cardano.
contract. It does have smart contracts.
Cardano does, but
Incompatible.
it's like way more difficult to program for.
They're not hard to program. It's just different. Here's the problem with programming in Cardano: is it's not useful anywhere else. We got to program for Cardano.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we program for the EVM, we can use it on Ethereum, Stuxnet, Polygon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A whole host of them.
Well,
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is just that Ethereum made it so simple to start building things out, and they started getting so much adoption so quickly that all these altcoins that are utilizing the same Ethereum base, but their own upgrades to that system. I mean, at this point, there's got to be like 40 or 50 of them out there. So it's impossible for us to tell which one to launch on, aside from Polygon was being accepted by Facebook, by Reddit, by all these different companies. And we saw that and went, okay, well, that will help their trust. You know what I mean? That'll help things move along with trust. And really, that's the biggest thing that we've had an issue with is how do we teach people how to trust in crypto? How do we teach people enough about it to make them feel like it's worth spending their hard-earned money on a comic book this way? And how do we make that work for a creator? And where do we add the value and stuff? Because it's not easy when you're first starting out, but we got to figure out a way to make it easy. So
it's not easy being cheesy.
that's right.
Yabba dabba doo.
Polkadot was another one. Polkadot was one I was pushing on for a while. I like Polkadot still.
Well, and we are talking like apples and oranges with a lot of these. Like some you can't even do this, and some it's like completely different. But yeah, that's a good one. And worthy of investigation.
I'm trying to remember all these different cryptocurrencies.
And there's some that's just those plasma side chains, and some are just smart contracts that are on the Ethereum main chain, so they're not actually their own dedicated chains, even though they're currencies. So there's can be a lot of confusion as to what's usable. It's really the network that we're looking for, rather than the currency. The currency each network would probably have one and only one native currency.
Well, and it's weird now because some are getting so popular. You know what I mean? You can watch people, and it's like starting to become just like sports teams. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah.
Who was it? We were at a convention, and somebody, Magdalene, that creator, she does.
Did we lose Joe?
We might have.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
But Magdalene, I know, was like a huge fan of I forget how you pronounce it. Tezos, the TEZOS, that network. And it was just like, you guys need to look at this. You need to look at this network. And I'm like, geez, okay, all right, we'll probably check it out. Or like Cosmos, a ton of people are pushing behind Cosmos now.
Well,
I think just because
that's the problem is you don't want to just jump on the hype bandwagon. You really want to do your research.
I know. If we went off of a cool name, we would be on Tron, because that's got the coolest name for a network.
Yeah.
And Tron's been around, and that
All right, we got a comment coming in here, guys. I know this is off topic, but so Joe and Fry are competing for the best beard.
Oh, Joe wins, hands down. I'm just unshaven. Joe's got a beard.
All right.
I mean, his is all manicured and like trimmed. I'm just
Man,
You,
it's
you
your
guys got to
dream.
get that tape measure in there and see how long you actually.
oh, my beard's not
Oh.
nearly as long as Joe's.
Yeah,
No, my
I-
beard's not nearly as long as Joe's. Look at this. Look at this.
I won't be happy until I trip over mine.
Hold on real quick, guys. Rose Kirby asks, so I would like to know, with all these different ways to get comics, what happened to the old-fashioned pay with cash? I
Right?
would love to answer this, Rose. Right now, Rose, you are in the UK. So for you to pay, I don't want to name a creator in this, but say you want to get a book from a creator that is in South Africa. That's one that we could sell you right now. You would have to convert from pound to how would that from UK? It would go from pound to euro, then over into Africa. I'm trying to remember if Africa or South Africa has its own continental currency. I can't remember if it does or not off the top of my head. Anyways, so that's a minimum of 3 times it's got to change hands. Each time you would have to pay a fee for that transaction. Each time you would have to wait for a delay to go through everything. And you would have to go through all of those steps before you could make that purchase. Thank you. We knew that because we did a stream about that like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but it was 3 years ago, dude. I could barely remember what I had for breakfast.
Well, so here's the thing, as Rose asked, what happened to paying with cash? In that situation, you're really not paying with cash. It just changed hands 3 times. You paid fees 3 separate times. And during that transition, it at some point became digital because that's the only way that you can comfortably do the negotiation between one currency to another as far as the value, because both of the values are consistently sliding all day long. What crypto does is it allows you to pay in one and the creator to get that directly. So it makes it more universal. So if you want to think about it, crypto realistically is the old school version of paying with cash. It's just done with modern technologies, and it's done outside of any country controlling anything, which is what upsets so many people about it. You know what I mean? It's hard to trust something if the U.S. government doesn't have a tank pointed at it.
Well, let's face it, the U.S. government hasn't backed its money in, 30 years anyway?
We back it with NASCAR, bald eagles, and...
All right.
You go tell a Sherman tank it doesn't back its money. All right? All right, Matt? You do that.
Oh, I'll tell it. I just won't
right.
say much after that because that'll be it.
Let's keep going here. Rose Kirby says, is it possible cash doesn't exist in some places? Now it's been overtaken with plastic cards or crypto coins or something else. A lot of places are going
that
to
is happening.
Yeah.
During the lockdown, actually, there was a lot of businesses you go into, they would not accept cash whatsoever.
There's still a few. I mean, you're talking about the United States, Matt?
Yes, I am, because I can't speak to anywhere else in the world because I ain't been anywhere else in the world in quite a while.
So there are a lot of economies that are running more and more on plastic and crypto than they are even cash.
Yeah.
One that was spoken of is a creator that we're good friends with, spent some time over in Japan. And he had actually talked to me about it. And he said, what was crazy is he was like, in the United States, not a lot of people are talking about crypto. I mean, you hear people talking about it and they're excited about it, but they're not walking into, their local grocery store and paying with crypto. And he said that he was there in Japan, and every single vending machine that he came across accepted crypto. And not only one crypto, but it accepted multiple forms of crypto. And that's how he started understanding what the idea of multiple networks really was just because he saw vending machines already doing it over there.
I would love to see that level of adoption here in the United States. I do know that United States is quite a bit behind the curve, especially Japan, EU. They've all taken steps to kind of ensure the future of cryptocurrency, but here in the U.S., for some reason, it's still considered kind of the Wild West. Like, oh, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I
No.
I do have to say this. Here at Apogee Invent, we've been accepting Bitcoin since 2015.
It worked out really well back then too.
Yeah.
It worked
I
exceptionally
recommend it.
right.
Rose Kirby also says, "Hey, are any
We
of you
afforded to
excited
build
for
crypto
Star Trek:
comics.
Strange New World Season 2?
Yes.
Less
Yes.
than
Yes.
70
Yes.
stars
Yes.
to go.
Yes.
Go. What about you?
Me and my kids are already planning on sitting down watching it, and just it's going to be awesome. We love that show. Everything
Are
to
they
do
in
with Star
trouble?
Trek lately.
Are they
What?
grounded or something? Is that
They
what
love
makes
it.
them watch Star Trek. Man,
You shut your mouth. They
That's like-
love it.
that's like some Guantanamo Bay stuff right there. I'm calling.
No, no,
something
no. They love Star Wars. They love Star Trek. It's great. I get a nerd out on both sides of the fence on this one.
Hold on one second. Yes, police. Yeah, my coworker is forcing his children to watch Star Trek.
Fry, it has star in the word. It's good.
That doesn't
You
automatically
gotta
make
watch
it
these
okay.
new ones.
It
You
makes
gotta
it
watch
good.
these new
It
ones.
makes it good. It makes
I've
it good.
actually-
It's got
I've heard
It's
really
good.
good things about it. It's just we always constantly play the Star Wars jerk versus the Star Trek nerd.
I love Star
That's like
Trek.
the DC versus Marvel. If I like something,
Right.
Fry automatically
I
is like,
have
it's
to
the
hate
worst thing ever.
Why would you ever want to look at Batman? All right. Nobody's Wizard comes in and says, the movie theater is one of them. I had to ask to pay in cash and I had to do so manually with a person rather than the machines. Right?
Wow.
Terminator has taken over.
You know, actually, that's the funny thing. I was at the movie theater. It was the last time I went to go see a movie. It was that new Spider-Man, the animated one. I went to pay with cash, and the guy's like looking at the register. He's like, I can't remember how to do this. I was like, wow, dude.
Just plug in the numbers and it'll tell you how much to give back to me. And if you're giving me a couple $100, you did it right.
I was like, you see that button that says 0? Yeah, hit that. That's what you're charging me.
Rose Kirby says, haven't you heard of the multi-currency cars? I think she meant cards. That's a great way of paying with no currency fees. Yes. I'm an idiot. I almost pulled up my card on stream. That would have been really smart.
One right here.
Like this one.
Look at
dare you,
that.
A bunch of fraudulent charges. Yeah, I love them. In fact, and this one, once again, we do not give financial advice, but I actually
Don't take that.
I really like the Cash App implementation. I love Cash App for that. What I do is I transfer over some money on Coinbase or Robinhood, Coinbase wallet, wherever I've got it at. I transition it over to Bitcoin and I shoot it over to my Cash App. And then Cash App will just hold the Bitcoin. And if I want to tank a gas or something like that, I just swipe my Cash App card and it just automatically pulls it right out of Bitcoin. It's so convenient. Like, I love it. It's one of the fastest processes that I've seen. I mean, it's like instantaneous too. There's no delays, there's no waiting, and it just gives you access to your crypto right off the bat. Now, that being said, I want to say right now it's only using Bitcoin. That's all I've used on it anyways. But it's been great. I know Robinhood's got a new card. PayPal has some type of account that if you qualify for it, you can do Ethereum, Bitcoin. I think Litecoin is another one. But yeah, I think that's going to be kind of the future.
Okay.
And I think you'll see banks starting to advertise like, deposit, sign up for direct deposit and get 1 Ethereum. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think that's going to happen
So,
soon.
Here's a question for you. When you're using those, I currently don't have one of the multi-currency cards. When you're using it, can you actually say, I want it to use this particular currency versus this one? Like if I see, this one's on the rise, I don't quite want to use that one. I want to save it. So
yeah. So in fact, on Cash App, what I do is normally I'm on the bike. So I just tap my phone rather than even have to pull out the card. just because I'm that lazy. I will tap my phone rather than pull out a debit card. And then what it does is it scans my face to make sure, you know, it's me that's using it. All Apple Pay does that. And directly after that, it just asks which account it wants to draw from. And what's even nicer is that with Cash App, like say if you have like, I don't know, say you have like $10 US in cash, you know, in USD, and then you've got, you know, $20 in Bitcoin and you're buying something that's $25, it'll even ask you how you want that to be split between your accounts. Like it'll take the $20 from Bitcoin and then only $5 USD. It works pretty cool. I like it for that. Plus I tend to be a weirdo, and like I got on this weird kick. I don't know, like when was it, Joe? When I started doing the trading stuff, like 6 years ago, I think. And I've consistently traded cryptos. Like it's almost like my part-time gambling gig at this point, honestly. It just constantly. I love doing it. It's fun as hell. But I learned a lot about the different networks, the different tokens, different technologies, and I got into it more because of the mining was something that I enjoyed. But having a card like that where I can just swap currencies around and throw it out onto a debit card is super nice, just because it feels good to actually use it. You know what I mean? Whereas how it used to be, you'd get a bunch and then you'd have to cash it out. And you'd wait. I don't know, what was it, Joe? Like 3 days for Coinbase, I think it was. For like you'd sell and then you'd have to wait for 3 days for Coinbase to deposit it into your bank account. And it was cool at the time, but it wasn't convenient by any stretch of the imagination.
So here's a question for you. We're almost at 45 minutes, guys, so we are going to want to wrap this up pretty quick. But
Okay.
if somebody is just starting to kind of dip their waters into
Dip their waters. How does one go
dip
about
their toes in the water? Wow, I misspoke. Have you ever done it before, Fry? Yeah,
that's right. Everybody, dip your waters here.
Strike that, reverse it.
What is a good way to kind of get their feet wet? See, I said that one right.
What is a good way to get their feet wet? Like, okay, so when you say
somebody is new to cryptocurrency,
yeah,
let's say they want to go on Crypto Comics and actually like check out a new comic, but then they see, oh, it doesn't take USD. You're gonna freak out and just stop, or how?
So I like Transact for that, and I'm the person who probably yelled at the top of the damn rooftops more than anyone else for Transact, because it allows you to just take a small amount of money, transition it right into Matic, buy a comic right there on Polygon. That being said, I don't feel comfortable with that as being my answer. Reason being, as we talked earlier about having multiple networks and how fast all these different technologies change. If somebody, say, were to watch this video 6 months from now or something like that, there could be something 100 times better at that point that comes along. I think that your best bet is to, in this situation, go onto Crypto Comics, check out the book that you like, and then maybe look inside of the chat features that are on the system and see, or see who is buying that book on what platform more frequently, things like that. Like, we try to give a lot of that information, where if you do a very small amount of digging, you can probably figure out what the current best way is to do it. Another thing there is that it also depends on how new you are. Like, if you already have a favorite, network type, stuff like that. I mean, that's another kind of cool thing, is that we're a small enough team that, like, I mean, if you shot us a support email and you said, hey, I'm a huge fan of Tron, and I've got like $6 million USD in Tron, and I want to buy some Chad Harden books, like, Joe will probably see that email. We'll probably get Tron up pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So
why are you laughing, Joe?
Things can change really quickly. He's laughing, but I'm not wrong.
We'd at least look into it, I suppose.
See, told you. Told you. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard to subject down on. You know what I mean? but I think it's going to be fun for anybody. You know, if you're not into cryptocurrency and you hate it and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's such an interesting concept to just learn about. So even if it's not on Crypto Comics, if you want to go and check out other places and learn about it, and there's some amazing videos on YouTube about how cool the different technologies are. If you want to learn about what we're talking about tonight with different networks, I mean, a lot of people might just think that's crazy to think about that there's more than one. You know what I mean? What do you mean there's more than one crypto? What do you mean? I thought there was only Doge. That kind of
Oh,
thing. Like it's kind of cool to learn about because it really is kind of like a very large step in technology that all of us are just kind of living through, and a lot of people have no idea it's even happening around them. You know what I mean? It's got the capability of changing a lot of stuff. I mean, I have a McRib NFT, y'all. It's pretty bad.
we've all
Pretty
made
bad.
fun of him about it here so many times. All right, Joe, I got another question for you.
Sure.
A long time ago, it's been a couple of years now. When Jared came to you about this whole marketplace idea for comic books, what made you actually sit there and think, cryptocurrency could be kind of fun?
I've been talking to Jared for a couple of years, at least, about doing a comics marketplace, and mostly he just wanted to understand, what the project would entail. I helped him outline a project and run through all of the different parts of the project so he could go shop to investors and whatnot. I think it was in 2018. I'd spent several years developing, Bitcoin API and various things like that for clients, and had been, very interested in cryptocurrencies and all of that. In fact, I can really sympathize with feeling like it's overwhelming. I like when I first was learning about it, I wrote a little mini book that was like a living book so that I could give it to people for them to understand what on earth was going on. And because I was writing it for myself as I was trying to really understand what was the scams, what was the real stuff, what would work, what wouldn't, and all of that. Let's see, where was I going with this, Matt?
Has there been ever that point, it's 4:00 in the morning, you're realizing, I got a meeting with these guys in a few more hours?
Yes.
I mean, was it still worth it at that point?
I digress. I was talking about about Jared and all of that. I do that too often. So, anyways, I was really looking to do something that was meaningful in the crypto space. I had already built a system called Coin API, and I wanted something that wasn't just payments. Everybody's into payments. I wanted to do something cool and different and something actually meaningful. I had been in the marketplace for books in general for quite some time in Apogee, and I had really been pushing to build a publisher's product in Apogee for people who write books, for authors and whatnot, to be able to sell their books and to build it. Exactly.
Yep.
We called it Frantic Froggy. Is the imprint we've published. We published several books under that, so I was very interested in that. So I was like, maybe I'll build this a book system on the blockchain. Then I was like, well, Jared's been talking to me about, about doing a comic system and all of that. And I've met Matt, and I like these guys, and I feel like, I'm in a position at the time I could, my company, I represent many people. When I say mine, it's not just mine, to be clear. I represent several owners. But my company was in the position where we wanted to start a venture, and we were in the position to at least start off the financing and the building of that company. So I came to Jared and I said, well, I like your idea and what you're doing here, but there's no angle. There's no way there's nothing that's really setting it apart and that's really different. than the other places who are doing a great job for collectors and selling comic book access online. There was definitely some value there, but there wasn't enough to just push it over the top. But I was like, if we can find a way to put this on the blockchain so the books are actually on the blockchain, and this was prior to quite a lot of research and development, to be clear. We did find that way, of course. But if we can find a way to actually legitimately do this, then I feel like we can put something super valuable out there that isn't just somebody trying to make yet another money to sell. And that we can actually, because I personally have, my brother's an author, my wife's an author. I personally, want to be able to get behind that. And so I thought of Jared, and I called him up and I proposed that we hybridize the idea, and that I could fund the development until we could find bigger developer or investors, or more investors and whatnot. And here we are. We have had some other investors, but Apogee has by far been the primary investor. And in labor and in good old fashioned coinage. But anyways, it's been wonderful, and we love it. Anyways, so the comics niche was perfect. I've always loved comics, and everybody else thought it's like we love books, but comics are cool. So I have a deep passion for books, but comics are cool. And that's
there's just something about opening up a new comic. You're like, I feel like a kid again.
Exactly.
Hey, that was last week's stream. Quit it, guys. That was last week's stream.
Right. So,
let me check in on chat here, guys. Nobody's losing. Ash, I know it's off topic again, but are y'all doing anything special for CouchCon 2023? We'll be there. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll be watching everything on that. So
as far as panels and stuff like that go, we're not really we don't have much planned, but we're definitely going to be watching and interacting inside of the chat kind of all through the weekend, and also
maybe giving away badges randomly.
I mean, we definitely will be doing badges.
I was gonna say I don't think we've officially planned on we're gonna be giving away these badges. No, we'll just be creating badges and be like, here you go.
Go ham. Speaking of which, Nobody's Illusion brought up an idea for a badge, and that'll be one of the badges that we use on CouchCon.
Is it my face?
No.
That's because Nobody's Illusion is awesome that way.
So Rose Kirby says Cocoa Mix Lads. That is now Matt's new name. Is Cocoa Mix Lad.
That I'm okay with it. All right.
Updated. Okay. Let me continue reading. All in chat. I hope to catch you all again. Until next time, be safe, sweet dreams. Good night to you. Good morning from me from UK. Thank you.
All right. Good night, Rose. And reach out to me, Rose, and we'll discuss Star Trek right after we watch it.
Don't do it, Rose.
It'll be
you will
awesome.
Take so much of your time.
We will nerd out.
That is weird. All right. Well, on behalf of everybody on the stream, thank you guys. We love you. Appreciate you watching.
Thank you again.
Later.
Hasta la pasta.
You need to
Coco
stop, dude.
Coco lad? I thought you were Irish.
Well, a little bit, but it's yeah.
All right, something
He
I
looks
forgot to
Irish
say.
to me.
Everybody needs to go and check out Free Fall Comics over on Twitter, by the way. The link is inside of the chat channel. They got something cool cooking up. Go over there, check it
Free
out.
Fall.
Give them some love. Give them some love. Go tell them that you can't wait to see it on Crypto Comics. Wink, wink.